Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
Very glad to have you here for our very first podcast being delivered by Business School, which is part of Algebra Bernays University. Andrea Maria Cosentino, our lecturer for the Entrepreneurship module. My first question is how you kind of got into the entrepreneurship and kind of how did you end up connecting with us and your path that you think and some, maybe critical points that kind of pivoted or pointed you toward entrepreneurship.
Okay, well, first, thank you for having me and making me feel special in first terms of being the first one, which is kind of probably connects with the link I have with entrepreneurship. I started my first business when I was 16, and I kind of always had this thing about wanting to run my own thing. I mean, the business at 16 was like quite illegal, to be very honest with you. But I'm not gonna explain here. It was around like fashion and shoes and things like that. But just to avoid being pursued by the wrong actors, I'm not gonna go further into it. And then as I went through, I just kept building businesses really. As I was at uni, I built my first actual startup when I was 18, which drove me into an exit, very early exit. It was a box. Essentially, you get a box, and the box gives you fresh pasta. So I was back in Italy. I'm originally from Rome. That's where I was born. And so it gives you fresh pasta, slow food type of tomato sauce, mozzarella, and essentially the idea was, posh families, because at the time I was at uni. Most of my friends were kind of coming from a very good side of Rome, let's say, right? So I thought, posh families, they posh because usually they both work, right? Both parents work and they make money, so they're not gonna have time to cook. So the need is that probably these people might need something quick to essentially to be executed, right? Especially over the weekends. Why? Because they might not have time to do proper shopping during the week. So how can we fix that? And I built this box. It was literally a box, like a shoebox at the very beginning, with fresh pasta, fresh mozzarella, fresh tomato sauce, and then deliver it to their houses. Now, everything was sourced locally. So there was the quality of the product. For me, quality has always been extremely important. And then the customer experience. In terms of receiving it at home, I would literally go with my car and deliver it. And we started from Rome. And then eventually in a few months, we expanded into 3 other regions in Italy, Campania, Umbria. We actually got to Milan as well at some point. And I was doing this with a uni friend of mine. And then as we went... Yeah. I made the guy that was studying with me at university. So it was a colleague at university. And then eventually we got approached by a major brand in Italy, which you probably all know is the major pasta brand that there is out there. And they bought the solution as Barilla. So they Barilla, the one with the red thingy, and they just they acquired a section of them, which was looking into like new ventures. So it wasn't directly them, but it was a section of them, of course, like for legal reasons, I have to say that. They acquired a business. Okay, look, it wasn't like too much money, but the thing is that also made me learn that I had to learn more about venture capital. So there was step 2. That's when I get into venture capital, because I realized, if I knew what I know now, I would have made so much more money. Anyway, that buys my way out of Italy, moved to the UK.
Sorry, I'd like to go back a bit, maybe even to that illegal business, in terms of not what you did, but more how did you kind of realize you want to become an entrepreneur? What was like the drive? Was it, watching American movies, or was it, I don't know, something else?
That's a very good question. No, I don't know much. If you study philosophy, don't quote me on which one, but there is 2 schools of thought. One says that we were born as a white slate, that we are a product of our environment. And one says that no, we inherit through DNA, through different things or maybe our souls. I know I'm getting a bit deep here, but that's it. We inherit from previous lives or DNA or whatever it is, like some certain characteristics. I think I'm a bit of both in terms of I do believe that there is some not inherited, but like some innate things that drive me there. That can come from different reasons. I'm not going to get into that. But also I was a product of my environment. I do come from a very like working class family, divorced parents, not like, extremely, sorry for saying that, extremely successful, let's say from a business perspective. So everything that I built myself. And I always had this, probably that's the product of the environment, where I always knew that I had to sort myself out by myself. No one was doing it. And so I've always been very solution oriented. So solution oriented then takes me to, well, I see a problem there. And so I think there is a solution there. And then I'm like, well, I can build that. And I build it. And I keep just doing it on and on and on and on. I'm a very curious mind. And I really have very analytical eye for certain things. And I think a mix of that then created the technical side of entrepreneurship of I like to build things. And then the other thing, I was literally broke constantly. So I need money. How do I make money? Well, okay, you can find a job, but a job is never enough because it only pays you so much. I need to make extra money. And then so on and so forth. So I think it was a mix of all these things. And then I think there has to be something that, grows with you growing, but also I think it should be part of your persona as you want to get into entrepreneurship, which is you need to believe that you know better.
Okay, but I understand. And what was like the, that moment, if you can remember and define it, that pushed you over the edge in terms of, I'm sure you kind of, for all the reasons you just mentioned, were leaning towards being an entrepreneur, but, I'm sure you had your doubts, some fears. So was there like a defining moment when you decided, no, I'm going to, try, and then what happens?
So it depends. The answer to your question changes throughout life because I've been it's been a constant iteration process. The very first time, so let's go back there. The very first time that I had this snap was, and I remember like it was yesterday actually. That's why I can point to that. I was 15 or 14, more or less, and I was in the lockers of my football team. I used to play football, seriously, semi-pro, back in Italy. And I get into the changing rooms, and essentially this illegal business was around, illegal because it was like dodgy, like on the black market, let's say. So it was around shoes, branded shoes. And I was wearing one of these branded shoes, and a friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name now, we're not in touch anymore, but just like we're preserving privacy, comes in. I still remember, just literally me and him. I was early, I was getting changed, comes in a minute after me, hey Andrea, how you doing, blah, 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 sits close to me and he's like, oh, nice shoes, cool shoes, man. Where did you get them? I can't explain it to you. It just snapped. I looked at him, I'm like, well, I can't tell you where I got them, but I can get them for you.
Okay.
And I remember, I swear on my, as an Italian, I swear on my grandmother, pistol, RIP, like, that was the moment that I was like, this works. And I started from there, and then essentially I built a business around this thing, which of course it was, I was young, I was like, didn't really think about consequences of certain things, but I needed money, I wanted to make money. It was actually quite successful, I have to say. And then of course at some point I stopped because it would be risky. But then I was like, okay, I know how to make money. And that to me was the first validation to myself. It was like, okay, I can do this, I know how to make money. Now I need to find something that is worth investing in, let's say, or is worth actually doing like a serious thing. And the food thing came about afterwards. Like the opportunity happened. And I think everything that I've done, entrepreneurially wise, has always been a mix of, I look for it, but also the opportunity comes to me. Why? Because I never stop. You know me very well. It's like, I do a lot of things. I talk to a lot of people. I travel a lot. I do different things. I am an affiliate here, but I also have my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. I also work in corporate, different industries, different countries. And that's actually what allows me to then find different opportunities, right? Because the more you talk to people, the more you realize that someone might need something. And that's how I've been rolling really in the last year.
Yeah. Okay. Just kind of to continue along this entrepreneurship topic, Were you ever afraid of failing, or did you have some endeavors that didn't succeed? You mentioned the shoe business, the Barilla thing, and they were successful in a way. But were there any failures before or after? Because a lot of times you can only hear that side of the story. When you're successful, but both you and I know that it's not always like this. So how did you have some failures, and how did you deal with it?
So here is the thing, right? We both sound like an Instagram post right now, because you say, everyone talks about the other side with their cliche sentence, which is true. And I can tell you, yeah, success is just the tip of the iceberg, which is a cliche, but it's also true. We all love to talk about our successes, but the truth is, whatever I tell is successful comes with 100 failures. Thing is, and this is going to be another cliche statement, but I believe in. I don't know if you watch Pirates of Caribbean, Jack Sparrow. I love the movie. I love pirates. And you see, he says this thing that is like, the problem is not the problem itself, it's the way you look at the problem. And it becomes a problem if you think it's a problem. And then another guy said, if something is a problem and you don't have a solution, why would you worry? If you have a solution, why would you worry? Put these two things together, and it's like, well, did I actually fail? No. Did I learn and something didn't work out? Yes. Right? Failure is like not trying. To me, that's a failure. That's a real failure. Is like, okay, you're not even trying. You're failing. You're failing yourself. I tried 100 things. I hope, and probably if you go to HMRC, not HMRC, so a company's house in the UK, you find my name as a director. Like, I went through some compliance thing recently. I run a consulting business as well. And of course, when I win projects, they do KYC on me, on my business and everything, and my employees as well. And I had actually a problem because I declared directorships on, 7 businesses, let's say. And their HR came back at me saying, oh, you're lying. I'm like, what do you mean you're lying? Like, we're really upset. I was like, what do you mean? They found like companies, I even forgot I opened at some point, that they were still like there, because in companies' houses, sometimes you just leave them and they get they get cancelled, they get dissolved automatically, right? But just to tell you, like, the production of ventures in my head is a constant engine, and everything that I didn't pull through, eventually you can label as a failure. Really, you think about it. But truth is, well, no, to me it's not, because I tried. Maybe, halfway through I realized, what, this is not worth. So again, it's not a failure because you know when to stop as well. And that's another point, right? But there's been companies that I invested in that went nowhere. Some that, failed miserably. Projects that I did and I lost and I failed. And that happens, right? How you deal with it? Look, I am a product of my environment, yes, partly. I don't close myself in a room and cry. I never did, I never will. And that's a fact, and anyone that knows me can tell you that. Like, I remember once I got...
But did your environment ever, not necessarily only entrepreneurship-wise, but doing anything, growing up in Rome and your environment,
Man,
how did the environment react to failure? Is it, finger pointing, or is it, get up and move on to the next thing?
Okay, so, very good question. My environment actually is a blame environment, has been, culturally.
Same as in Croatia, I would
but
say.
like, Southern Europeans are they love very much, like, you're wrong. And this is funny, because if you go in an Anglo-Saxon country, so US and UK is also, but like US, mostly is famous for being a place where who fails is celebrated. Why? Because you failed. So now you hurt yourself, and unless you're dumb, they're not gonna do it again. So they trust more the WeWork guy story. It was went in the news, right? Got billions of funding after defaulting a company. They were like, what the hell? It's like, yeah, but he has the connection, he knows how to do it, and he knows what he's doing. The fact that he failed is because the market, COVID, and this and that, like, is out of his control, right? So that was an environment where, there was a lot of blame. But I have to say, in my family, for good or for worse, because sometimes not always good, when there has been always a hurtful moment, the approach has ever been, okay, come on, Yalla, as they say in the Middle East, just yalla, let's go, next, move on. Which could be bad from a child trauma perspective, because therapists could have so many things about that and feelings that are not addressed. But also, from this perspective, it teaches you resilience, which is like, okay, no cuddles here, let's just get on with. Yeah, and tough, but hey, it's life. And exactly. And that's that kind of, I think, the balance worked. And also I found myself a lot of times, most of the times, by myself. And probably this is the thing, is like the realization of I have no one I can ask for help. Why? Not because people don't love me, I'm alone. I have friends, I have everything, but at some point I realized, especially with my family and the people surrounding me back in Italy, that my level, I'm not saying this in a presumptuous way, yeah? I'm saying this in my level of the game I was playing was so different that I can't ask these people for help because they don't have help for me. So I need to figure myself out. It's like, I remember these moments when I had I failed one exam. The only exam I failed in my bachelor, macroeconomics. And I remember this episode, and I was super upset. And then I was like, okay, what can I do next? Well, I need to redo again. But at the time, I didn't have, of course, I was much younger and I didn't probably get some experience. So I went to my mom. And I remember this episode. I mean, she's probably going to watch this thing, but whatever. It was like, I went to her and I was like, Mom, can't believe, I failed this exam. I was so upset. What do I do? She's never been to uni. What could she ever tell me? And what she does is I don't know. Maybe you got the wrong uni. You should change. I was on the 15th exam. And I looked at her. I was like, I just said this. That was the moment. I realized. I said, mate, you can't help me. Because you know what you're doing. I can't get help from you. I was like, what? I was like, are you joking? I'm 5 exams in. What? No, I'm going to do it again. Why am I even asking you? And I just left. I was so pissed off. For 3 days, I didn't talk to her. But then they made me realize there's been a constant, in my life. Because I always try then, up my game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And kind of then to get back to the point where you sell the business to section of Barilla. How does your your friends or your partners react? What does that do for your confidence? How are you now approaching stuff? What do I do next? If you remember kind of your thought process.
So, okay.
What were the next steps?
You're very good at this. You actually ask amazing questions.
Thank you.
Very good questions. I'm telling you, it's fun. So, link into what I just told you. Oh, I've done this thing. People around me understand absolutely nothing. Okay, so they don't understand the importance of what happens because they just don't understand nothing of what I'm doing. So already there is no understanding or validation or whatever. Business partner, super kind guy, honestly. He actually still runs the business, by the way. He's still in the food industry. This year has been 15 years now. He has his own, it was a section of that, and he became a multi-product business. He distributes in Italy. He's quite successful. He's a small, medium enterprise. And he's happy with that. He's originally from Naples. So we were pretty easy with that because we both didn't know. We were just so happy. I was like, yeah, we're making some money, YOLO. That's it. To me, was the way out, was my ticket. I was like, okay, now I'm leaving. I got the money, I'm gone. And I left. I left Italy 3 luggages and 2 hands, as I always say.
Okay, but I need to pause you here. Why were you, looking forward to leave Italy?
Oh my
Why
God.
weren't you okay, now I have some capital, if I may call it so, or I have some experience, which you surely did by then. I want to build something else here. Why were you kind of looking for the exit?
Oh, because I always, I've been the luck of traveling a lot as a kid. My dad took me quite around, international trips for holiday. So I've seen a little bit of the world. And I really was mesmerized by it. And then truth is, I always felt I was much better than the environment. I was like, this environment is not good enough for me. I'm honest. This is not good enough, which is why I was studying English already. And I knew I was on my way out. And you know what? I actually didn't want to go to the UK. I wanted to go to the US. because I had the American dream of, Silicon Valley, Y Combinator, and like all these things. Life forced me into the UK.
And we're talking about this is year 2000.
6, 7,
Okay.
8? No.
Before the
No,
financial crisis.
sorry. 2000, that's a lie. It's 2009, 2010.
Okay, so after the financial crisis.
After the financial crisis,
Okay.
and I got myself into financial industry. But because again, it's like the opportunity brought myself there.
So you were like, this was which year of your college?
Finished bachelor.
Finished bachelor.
Getting into masters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So jumped the boat, go to the UK, study there, work there, got an internship.
Just sorry to pause you,
No.
but I want
It's a conversation.
learn more. So you go to UK, of course. You're not a native speaker. You have some experience.
Oh no, but I spoke English since I was like 3.
Oh,
Because
so
of
you
my
were
mom.
really, really good with English. Okay, great.
English has always been my
But it
second
was, I
language.
guess, a cultural shift for you.
No.
And some different experience.
Same,
No?
because like my mom lived in England a bit at some
Okay.
point. She was working for one of the, at the time, she was working for what is now PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, when it wasn't Pricewaterhouse. So kind of like, it's not that we had a British house. She's very much from Rome, trust me. but it's like there is an inheritance there, right? A cultural
I
thing.
understand. So what you're trying to say is really you felt at home.
Yeah.
I mean, not at home, but it was familiar.
So this is the fun fact. First of all, culturally speaking, in Italy we get a lot of UK American culture in our culture, so it's very familiar to us. But then the other thing is, as I traveled a lot, I was already kind of familiar with these things. But then I forgot what I want to say.
Yeah, we were talking about how you kind of went to the UK and the cultural differences, but you had kind of, you knew the mentality or mindset, so to say.
Yeah, I was familiar already. And the fun fact is that when I landed, I remember the day I landed in Heathrow, and I felt like I've been here before.
Yeah.
Was
it your first time in London?
No, I've been there before in terms of as a holiday, but I've been here before as in I'm living here. I'm from here. I don't know, it's weird to explain. I can't tell you.
Yeah, that feeling, now you're here to stay.
Yeah, I knew, man. I knew I wasn't.
Were you afraid at any moment?
Zero.
Or excited?
I was pumped up the whole time. I still remember the Alitalia flight from Rome, one-way ticket, was the first one-way ticket of my life. Flying over London because it was landing in Heathrow, and they always fly over and then go down. And I was thinking my heart was going. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And I was there, and I just knew I'm not going back. I knew I'm not going back. And I never went.
So your mindset was, I'm going to make it here.
Yeah, there is no. To me, honestly, it's on the failure thing. Also, why I don't look at it because I'm telling you, if I set my head on something, whether it's now, whether it's 5 years, I'm getting there. There's no other way I'm not doing it.
Okay.
There is no plan B. I mean, I always have a plan B, by the way. Honestly, I think in that way. But to me, there is no plan. I'm doing this.
I'm making it one way or another.
Period. There's no. Sorry, I can't swear in this. There's no bloody way I'm not doing this. So I'm staying here.
Yeah.
I'm staying here.
So you're saying your determination.
Yeah. I'll make it here.
Do you think that any who wants to get into entrepreneurship, that determination is one of the key ingredients?
Oh, but that's why when I hear, oh, anyone can be an entrepreneur. No, mates, bullshit. Actually, no. Very few people can be an entrepreneur, and no, it's not true. And then actually, 75% of the people I meet in my life, 80, they're absolutely not cut to be an entrepreneur. They feel they want to be an entrepreneur. I give you examples. I spoke to someone once. It was a person very close to me. And, I think that was a key moment on the breakup of this human relationship. When I say relationship in English, it's a relationship between two people. But, this person was very close to me. And I remember the day I looked at them. I'm not going to say he or she. I say them. And I was like, because I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And I look at them, I was like, look, you're never going to be it. Because of reason 1, 2, 3. I'm not saying this to put you down. I'm saying this because I've seen you in action. and I can tell that you're lacking 1, 2, 3. So how about you direct your career in maybe being a salesperson? You're an amazing salesperson. You're amazing at selling things, which is okay, but you're not cut to be an entrepreneur. And I remember they looked at me with like a lot of hate at the time. And fast forward, I think facts prove me right. Some people are not humble enough at times to understand that. At the same time, I had recently a conversation with someone else that is the founder of a startup that is in my venture studio. And I'm telling you, it's going to be successful. And this person currently is working as an amazing job. And I'm going to go on the day again. But they are building a very interesting, let's say, marketplace for organizations, like not charity, but like volunteering organization. And it's super interesting, honestly. I'm super supportive. They built the product. We're going to launch basically now. And I keep telling them, you are going to be a CEO. You are cut for this. Because just the resilience through which in 3 months, having a full-time, very high-level, high-profile, demanding job that is very demanding. In one of the top 2 industries that exist, which is finance or consulting. I'm not telling you which one, but it's either or. They pooped out a product in 3 months in every single free moment they had. Instead of going out and partying, they could live a very good life because they get good salary, whatever, the adults, but no, they did that.
So, okay, just to kind of expand on this, what you said to this person back at college, you lack these 3 things.
Not back in college, it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Year.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Or now, when you tell this guy you're going to be a CEO, then what does your scanner look like in terms of, for which qualities or for what type of character or character traits you look at when you're kind of at least in your head validating, is someone cut out to be an entrepreneur or CEO? If you can,
Great question. Okay, first of all, let me start with one statement. A lot of people, when you ask this question, they tell you potential. Potential is a lie. Potential is a reflection of our expectations onto other people. I learned this recently, really clicked with me, and it really stuck, because it's true. Potential, I don't think it exists. Is you either have something and you are willing to grow it, or you don't have it. Potential is a reflection in our heads. What I look for is resilience. Resilience is key. And the example I just give is somewhat resilience. Determination, very determined. Hardworking. Hardworking is putting in the hours. Honestly, look, I'm an AI guy and I'm all about working smarter than harder and do a gazillion things. But even when you're more smart, there is a point where you need to invest the time. And there is a difference between one of the main indicators between these 2 people is the first one that I told wasn't cut to be day one, and I help this person, right? In both cases, I speak from, I help them starting up a business. Okay, they came to me with an idea. The first one was an idea already. I pushed the person saying, hey, you should really do this. The other one came to me with an idea, and I was like, okay, this can work. The idea was actually good. It was good. I do my part, which I'm very good at, which is I'll structure the business, I'll tell you how to succeed, I'll start it up for you. So, I know exactly what to do in the first 10 days. Let's put it on there. So you jumpstart. Then I give it in your hands because, hey, if I wanted to be the CEO of this thing, I would do it. But you are the CEO, you got to roll with it. I can help, I can advise, but I have my own business to run. Person number 1 was already talking about how could them delegate to interns. And the first thought was how to hire 4 unpaid interns to get the job for them.
So that was a red flag.
Massive red flag. Because what the hell is your product, man? And your product is your baby. Your business is your baby. A founder has to be dedicated 100%. I mean, you have kids, right? It's not, we're having this conversation. You put them above everything, right? You don't hire a nanny. You get to the nanny when you're desperate. But first you grow the kids. The other founder, the moment I show them something, because I've showed them some pipe coding tools, that they didn't know about, to my surprise, actually. They're very cultured, very knowledgeable. Day 2, they were already working on the product themselves. To this day, 3 months, because they started in November. something like that, October, let's say first week of October. To this day, they never delegated anything to anyone. Even when I offered at some point, they're like, no, I need to work on this. Then we're going to get there, and I'm going to give it to you. But I need to work on this because it's my product. Great. The dedication, the vision. The other person is already thinking how to delegate. So what the hell are you doing? Putting in the hours. Listen, the truth is, again, life balance. There is Kevin O'Leary, very famous, right? And he was on Stephen Bartlett podcast. Very interesting, there of a CEO, and I urge everyone to watch it because it is interesting. That I have my own reservations on that, but we can talk about it later. Which is why I like more this setup. But he says this thing: work-life balance is bullshit, and it's true. Work-life balance is bullshit. It's bullshit. If you are, if you're dedicated, if you want to be successful, Arsene. If you want to be successful, sometimes it's very bullshit because there is going to be moments where you get to give something, gotta give. And if you're someone that is ambitious, mostly if you want to be an entrepreneur, like club leader, whatever you want, listen, something gotta give. And the more you grow, the more your business grows, and especially even at the beginning, you're in a run against time, on a race against time, because the truth is, and that's how you should think. You should have the anxiety as an entrepreneur of, geez, someone's going to have this idea, is going to steal it from me. It's like you have to have, because if you don't have this urgency, me as an investor, I'm not going to believe that you're not going to have the urgency of making money. You're not going to have the urgency to exit. You're not going to have the urgency to, run if there is a problem. If you're someone that 5 p.m. a cut, because 5 p.m. is which was this first person, by the way, it doesn't work like that. What is the whole industry is cluster fucking, and you need to urgently fix a problem. What if you have a bid, you have a problem? There's 100 reasons why you need to go the extra mile. And when the business is young, when it's something it's crucial that you have to have that mindset. Otherwise, you can't it's not otherwise go work at the post office, as I always say,
I think it's an honest assessment. But to kind of go to something similar, but something that we discussed, I think maybe over a year ago, was the question that you always ask our students, and you asked yesterday when our new MBA generation started, is how many of you want to be an entrepreneur? And just to kind of compare it with that, what we were just talking about, that people think they want to be entrepreneurs, but when you ask them, do you really want to be an entrepreneur? Most of them say.
So, it depends where you ask. Let's say my experience here has been not many people want to. If I am to ask that in London, a lot of people want to. It's a different mindset. It's a different space, a different country. If I'm asking Italy, it's like Croatia, probably mostly, right? It's a different vibe. We can talk more about that. Then there is the layer of those that believe want to be an entrepreneur, because there is a third. I think I give you the example of two people. Okay, I'm so cool. I want to be an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Sorry, but that now entrepreneurs for I don't know how many 20, 30 years were really kind of presented as stars, so to say, in media, social media, whatever, and that attraction that comes with it, that recognition. Is that a part of? I guess it is part of those people that just want to say that they are entrepreneurs just to be perceived as cool, but they are, of course, there are a lot of things under the hood that kind of need to click. What you just talked about: resilience, determination. So comparing UK and Italy, Croatia, and Middle East, where you live and work now, how does that kind of balance works?
Look, I think, in a place like London, I'm not going to talk about the UK, I'm going to talk about London specifically. Everyone wants and is an entrepreneur, but because it's the environment. It's a very entrepreneurial place. You breathe entrepreneurship everywhere. And also those that are not, they want to be, because the average of the society is like that. So there is a mix of, I want to be, and I do it because of what you said, to look like, I'm actually, I'm an accountant, but I have this startup idea in blockchain. It's just the vibe of the place. Everyone is trying to sell something. Maybe in places like, more Southern Europe, well, look, Italy is an entrepreneurial country by history, right? And we know that. We've changed industries. So that's it. But even that has changed a lot. There's been a massive inflection into, kids that don't want to do that anymore. I think now it's going up again. I can see a lot more, so it's great. But my generation, my age, I'm telling you, I can tell you that of my group, friends, etc., or people in my network at the time, I'm probably not the only one, but let's say if we were 100 people, 5 became entrepreneurs. The rest are like working for a state company or like a business, and that's it. So the mindset, but because also we grew up in a moment of scarcity, financial crisis, post-war, pre-war, bubbles and this and that. So we're not very lucky in the mindset. So everyone's looking for security. Now, I think, they're changing again. They're more into entrepreneurship. The Middle East, again, is a place that is calling for entrepreneurship a lot because they got a lot of money and they can build things and they need more innovation, even though it's very innovative, but they need more small, medium enterprises, more innovative idea. For example, in Saudi, there is a project we're collaborating with FinTech Saudi. It's called 525 FinTech. The aim of Saudi is by 2030, get 525 FinTechs in the country. Man, 525 is a lot. Like, it's literally a lot.
But are they inviting people to come to Saudi Arabia, or they're trying to raise companies from inside?
They're doing both.
Both?
They're doing both. And the thing is, they're humble enough to understand they don't have the skills and the capabilities on certain things, and they need to draw these from other countries, which is what they've been doing for many, many years.
And when you compare them to, Italy, Croatia, UK, their culture, and the things you kind of listed and mentioned as criteria, how do they kind of fit? Are they open to kind of
so the thing in the Middle
becoming
East,
an entrepreneurs and what it really means?
So the thing in the Middle East is that you need to think the following. First, the average age is much younger than Europe. Because the Middle East, and when I say the Middle East, let's be clear, we're talking about GCCs now. The Middle East goes from Algeria all the way down to Iran. Okay. Let's say. And
so GCC, just for everybody to understand.
GCC is the Gulf Council. The Gulf Council is Oman, Bahrain, UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and that's it. It's the 6th country. Because there is Somalia at the bottom, but it's not included. I think it's these 6 countries. Yeah. So already when you look at Iraq, for example, Iraq is not part of GCC.
Okay.
Please. Jordan? Is Jordan?
Jordan is next to Israel.
Yeah, is Jordan GCC? I don't remember right now. I don't want to say so check please on Google because I don't remember right now. For sure the GCCs. Anyway.
But we won't use Google or podcast. We want this to be
fair
out
enough.
of our head.
But just I don't want to say wrong facts. So now I actually don't remember. And by the way, that's another thing. Admitting when people don't remember things or you don't know is another thing that is very important. I'll get into that.
That's a good side that someone does have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Exactly, because you need to know when you don't know.
Okay.
But in general, even in sales, like never bullshit the client. That was teaching number 1 that I had. Was like never bullshit the client. It's so true. And when you teach as a faculty, never bullshit the client.
Sorry, I just have to make a slight digression. One of the other topics we commented on was something that I asked you when you compare Italy and UK in terms of culture, or maybe bullshitting a client in terms of sales. I was always kind of under the impression that Italians are way better at sales than UK people, but you told me I was wrong.
No man, like British are like sales central. Like that's all they know how to do because that's all they have. Like England is like the British they're amazing at selling. Yeah. Like you think. Because the thing is, in Italy, Italians are charming, Italians are known to be and like, we want to sell, which is true, but British, like, they know sales at next level, Like, this British sale is just something else. And I'm so grateful for having had both upbringing, because I think my sales skills, like, they're spiked because of both experiences. But for example, going back to your original question in terms of the entrepreneurial approach in the Middle East, what you see in the Middle East is the following. And again, it's always environment-based. So hang out certain specific environments and certain specific countries. There is places where certain of these countries are mentioned where they don't think about entrepreneurship, they don't care because they really don't care, and they do 0.1, okay? And I think there is probably left 1 or 2 countries in the GCCs, and that is going to change very soon. I'm not saying which one, because I don't want to talk down anyone. But if you look at, let's say, Saudi and UAE, you have 2 different things. In Saudi, people get money. Like, they have money, in Qatar as well. Like, they have money, their back is covered. So which means that gives you the security of taking more risks. Taking more risks mean you can run startups. Because if it doesn't work, you can survive. So actually, you see a very strong tendency towards wanting to be entrepreneurs. But then, there is, number one, the entrepreneurial culture or the knowledge that they rightfully might not have 100% in the new tech age. Because, the Middle East is an entrepreneurial place in terms of markets, in terms of trade. They know they've been there for 1,000 years, right? The Middle Eastern...
Silk Road.
Exactly. So it's not there. I'm talking about 2026. But what they've been amazing at, and that was extremely smart, and you see that, is that this is not Saudi, it's UAE as well, like it's mostly in the GCC. They adopted the rocket internet philosophy.
Okay.
What is the rocket internet philosophy? Rocket internet is one of the most famous venture centers in Europe, in Germany. Rocket internet says, look, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just take a solution that works in UK and build it in Dubai. Because especially if the solution in UK hasn't got to Dubai yet, you know the market, you have access to the market, and you just can, it's going to work because most likely it's a service or something that is needed. With fintech, they did that. With Uber, Kareem use Kareem in the UAE, right? In the GCCs. It's basically it's Uber. Now, it's been acquired by Uber, of course, at the end. But again, it's like at the beginning what it wasn't, it's literally copy-paste. I used to use this app in Saudi to order food, which is no hunger station. It's a yellow app, I don't remember now, no advertisement intended. And when I opened it, it was a very fresh app, right? It wasn't owned by anyone, like it wasn't acquired anything. But I was like, mate, this is just it, but yellow. And that's it, they make millions now, and they're probably gonna do an IPO, because that's the thing, right? So they got the money. Someone else has the idea already, all you need to do is import it.
Yeah, you don't have to be the smartest person and reinvent the wheel, like you said.
And this is where you take me into what you look for entrepreneurship or CEOs. Not CEO, entrepreneur, by the way, very different things. I'm talking about entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is someone that, number one, wants to make money. Okay, like that's the goal of entrepreneurship, you gotta make money. Number two, has intuition and has curiosity. But it's smart. And smart means you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you see an opportunity, you go and get it. That's the OG entrepreneur. It's someone that goes there and make money, sees the opportunity and sees it. Entrepreneur doesn't mean you have to have, the next Revolut in your pocket. Entrepreneur means I come to Algebra and I say, oh, you guys don't have water. I can provide you water with a beautiful Algebra branding, and I sell it to you. I'm an entrepreneur. So the opportunity, I monetize it. Bam.
Yeah, I'm not, talking about strategy, delegating. When you see an opportunity, you jump.
Grab it. And then you become, top entrepreneur by becoming more sophisticated.
Yeah, okay, but just to kind of connect with our program, do you think that entrepreneurial mindset could be like transferred or imported inside corporations in terms of everything that is happening now in terms of rise of AI, digital technologies, geopolitical situation? Do you think that companies, whether they are small or big or multinationals, do you see like a need or a pivot towards having that entrepreneurial mindset, or is it just these two can go hand in hand?
You see, the question that you ask is a very tricky one. So the answer I'm going to give you might not fit the aim of the podcast, but if I come to you, I'm thinking how to frame it is important. Like, if I come to you, right, it's like you go to an interview. And you're like, oh, we want someone with entrepreneurial mindset. And my answer is, mate, if I had entrepreneurial mindset, most likely I wouldn't be looking for a job. I would be an entrepreneur. So, and I had an entrepreneurial mindset as it was getting a full-time job, yeah? Why? Because then there is the reality of, hey, people need money at some point, or just want experience, they need work, like there is 100 reasons. Don't please take this now as a dogma, or like, oh, I'm saying this, there is exceptions, right? There is reasons. But eventually, I tended towards leaving corporate and do my own thing. And basically, I only be corporate to squeeze it at my own advantage. The money, the network, the knowledge, but I knew I wanted to get out. And so I did, right? So it was an opportunistic relationship.
Okay. You used it as a stepping stone.
Absolutely, yes. And it was a trampoline.
Yeah. And where did you work?
I worked many years at Bloomberg. And before that, there was the main corporate thing, let's say, in finance. And before that, there was a part that was called, was a trading arm that they had, and I sold out and did that for quite some time. So the trading part, and then I got into more core business.
But you always had that goal of, I'm going to, get experience, get money, get connections, but I'm starting something my own.
Yeah, and also like I love finance, and I've studied finance. So I'm like, I want to, put in practice, right? And get into the industry, because it's not so easy to run your own fund or, just to like, not that you do that every day. And it's like, no, you need to work in the industry. And there is a lot to learn. So, and, was probably one of the best career choices of my life was to do that. But then eventually I was like, okay, but enough now. Right? Because then you hit the point where it becomes a marathon. So the sprint is amazing because you learn a lot, but then it becomes a marathon. If you want to make a career, you need to wait, 5-6 years, right? I'm like, Papa, I'm not interested, And just to divert a bit, but best career advice I've always been given, and I keep giving to my students as well, that is, when you're unsure if you're on the right track in your career, look 2 levels above you. So look 2 levels above you. Do you like what you see? Because that's going to be you in 10 years if you keep investing in this business. And I remember I've done that. And I was like, Jesus, no. Like, oh my God, do I want to look like that? I want to live like that? No, I'm out. I'm out. Come, that's it. I also sold the other company. I was going anyway. But, that thing at the time was really, really stuck with me. And I think it's an amazing way of quick proof if you're on the right career track or not.
Okay. So after the Bloomberg, what was your next project or next company?
The next I was running a company whilst I was at Bloomberg. And we go back into the mindset, right? I was doing 2-3 jobs at the same time. I was working full-time in a financial corporation. And then my other time, I was running a venture studio called Ligas Ventures. And it was one of the very first venture studios in the UK, focused 100% on fintech. Invested in Revolut.
This is year?
2014. So
that's like the start of fintech.
It was literally the early days. And, early days of Revolut, Free Trade, Nutmeg, being all of them. And the thing is, I kept doing that. And the truth is, it took me 6 years to actually then spike this business and sell it. And I didn't even do it proactively, honestly.
But what was the business about? What was the business model?
The business model is a venture studio. So basically, we're not a venture capital because we ain't got the money. But we work with them, we work with investors, and we connect the startups with the funding, the money, but not just like, get a meeting and introduce people. We take them through a journey. This journey is me providing my skills and my network to help the business growing, so incubation, acceleration, services, helping them building their product, and then helping them getting money, okay? Simple as that, really. But it was in an industry that was just born, really. So it was like very hyping. Do that, COVID comes in, and actually it was an amazing opportunity. Because with COVID, finally I could do what I never wanted to do, which is not going to the office. And I could stay home, wake up, and I'm going to say this because now it's too late, I can't do anything about it anymore. Wake up, do my job, corporate job in like 2 hours, because that's all I needed. And then actually focus on my business for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And I grew the business exponentially in a year because I'm like, when I get fixed, I get fixed. Grew exponentially. And then eventually, through a friend of mine, got approached by a company, it was a consulting company, mid-tier consulting company that wanted to enter the fintech and Web3 at the time. Also, I was doing a lot of blockchain and crypto space. I had the branding, I had the knowledge. Basically, they acquired the business. It was a quite decent exit, so definitely better than the past one. But then I worked.
Sorry, and when you get those exits, you get some money, you get like a confirmation. Does that like saturate your entrepreneurship thirst, or you're hungry for more?
Oh no, man, I'm on to the next thing. Like I'm on to the. It's not about the money.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. When it's not about money, then what do you really want?
The thrill, the adventure, the challenge. Like I love a struggle, man. Like I love a struggle. I'm the guy that I love to play football. I'm the guy that if you think the 7 aside, it's like, I don't know, we're winning 10-0 now. I just switch teams. Okay, let's get the 10-0 back. Like that's literally how I roll. It's crazy, but that's literally how I roll. That's also one of the reasons why I left the UK now. Look, I left for many reasons, and the opportunity, of course, in the Middle East, our business is growing a lot. I had to be there. But to me, it's also like, check. Let's go and build again now in a country I never lived into, right?
Yeah, and please do expand on
exactly.
that. That's like a big switch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it sounds to me like a bigger switch than, Rome, London. Is to go from London to Dubai, and what you're doing there now, what are your projects, and maybe to kind of touch upon how did you get into the academics, education?
Yeah. So which one do you want me to tackle, the academics or the Middle East? 'Cause it's two different stories, really.
Let's go with like your career path, and then we can switch to academics.
Education, very random. So education, I actually started teaching when I was in corporate. Because I was
how old were you?
24 24 when I was.
How were you perceived? So what was
oh my god, man, the judgment. Well, I'll get there. So why? But I didn't start teaching at university. I was teaching internally because I was teaching fixed income. So I was specialized in fixed income and derivatives. So fixed income being like bonds, credit, CDS derivatives, swaps. Like all this was my specialty. And then, of course, I knew equity and other things as well, but that was my asset class. So when we get the new hires, I was one of those, because Bloomberg used to use the internal people to teach, because I have to say, that's a place where if you want to go and source faculties, oh my God. Like the level of knowledge, technical knowledge there is amazing. So I started teaching fixed income to the new hires. And then I built a trading program. So I was teaching trading internally to all the new hires, so much so that I think they still use it. I don't want to say they still use it to this day, but I can confidently tell you that they used it until 2 years ago, my bro.
Okay.
I was like, and it was the first exchange program that I also built for them. But you're hired in London, you get hired in London, you start in London, then you exchange to New York for a few months, and then you go back. There's a whole thing I built out of just doing it. So I was like, oh, I like this teaching thing. I think it fits me, but I'm not doing it. Like it's a hobby.
What about it do you like?
Oh, the stage. I love a stage. I love to be the center of attention, but also I love to sound smart and to be smart and to know things and to give people value. This is why I do what I do with businesses, and this is why I do what I do with teaching. I want to be the guy that one day you think back of me, you're like, oh, if I didn't meet Andrea, maybe I wouldn't have done this, or maybe I didn't know this thing. Like purely give value to humans. I want to feel people need to feel they get value when they interact with me. Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Simple enough, yeah.
I'm happy with that, honestly. See, it's not about the money, because the money will come. Money always comes anyway if you do the right thing. It's about impact. In fact, my business is called Impact Fundry. Must be a reason, right? And this as where, like, it might sound the most cliche thing that one says on a podcast, but tell you what, like, the two most amazing moments of my life were when, through this teaching thing at Bloomberg, they also started running apprenticeship programs. And I ran the first pilot, so I didn't build it, but I offered myself to run the first pilot and be one of the mentors. But
did they choose you?
Oh, I applied.
Or you applied?
I said, look, who wants to do this? Like, I think I can do it. It was the first pilot, the first year. And I jumped into it. And 2 years down the line, the person that was assigned to me, she got the job. She was amazing, top performer. And we met, of course. She was like, finish that. I got the job. And I was so happy. So happy because I helped someone achieving their dream. To this day, she still works at Bloomberg. Actually, fun enough, she's in the Dubai office now.
Okay.
Funnily enough, we've all been connected because it's like, look, I'm always here. If you need a question, whatever it is, and I like to build this relationship. I was like so happy. And the second thing that made me happy happened last year. There was this guy, James, was one of my interns, Impact Fundry. He stayed with us 6 months. And then, the guy wanted to go work at Goldman Sachs or whatever it was, right? Finished the internship. It was good relationship, but it's like, look, on to the next thing. I need to finish my my master's, and then I will see, right? I come back or not. Never heard from him ever again. Few months ago, I see a voice note coming from a number I don't know. I open the picture, it's like, it's James. And I'm like, what the hell? What does he want? What does he want a referral probably? That's usually what they want. I'm like, okay, I do it happily. I play the note, and what he says is, Andrea, I know it's a long time that you haven't heard from me, but I think you need to know that I'm so thankful I work with you, because today I signed my first offer at Goldman Sachs in trading, and if I were not to work with you, I don't think I would have ever got the job. I didn't refer him, I knew nothing, but just the hearing from him that everything that is done with me and with my team, he feels took him where he's now. I kid you not, I started crying. I don't cry very easily, but like I got that emotional burst of like, and he made me the happiest person in the world. I started sharing with all my friends, look at this. Because I'm like, you see, that's what you want.
Yeah, people to be successful whatever they want to succeed at.
Exactly, and because people did it with me, which takes me on why I started teaching. I was invited, so I was doing this thing at Bloomberg, and then I was invited to one of my ex-professors in Italy to talk about algo trading as a speaker at SAP Business School.
How did he find you?
We've been in touch forever.
You stayed in touch, okay.
This guy, Vittorio, could be my father. We met, he was the guy teaching me entrepreneurship, by the way, in my bachelor, elective course. Yes, elective course. He's teaching entrepreneurship. And the guy is like the Wolf of Wall Street of Italy. Like in finance, he's super I didn't know at the time. Like the guy is top. And basically, 15 years I know him now. And he became honestly like family for me. And he invited me, he's an affiliate professor at SAP, which is finance, very well known. And he invited me at SAP Campus London, say, hey, Andrea, why don't you come and talk about all this fintech stuff, algo trading, things that you do. He knew about it, but not too much. He's more of a traditional markets, guys. Equity, he knows everything. He can tell you Tesla, he can tell you Palantir 7 years before Palantir, and he knows it, and that's it. He knows markets, period. But this tech stuff up to a point. So he always used me as the techie, asking me questions and stuff. So he invites me there. I sit on the panel, and there is him moderating, me, this guy in the middle, I remember, very unfriendly. And then there is this other person there, which was such a character, but I love this style. The style he was saying, I was like, this guy's interesting. I need to talk to him. We finished the panel, and Vittorio comes at me and he's like, Andrea, come here. Terence, come here. And I'm like, you guys should talk. And I'm like, yeah, I really wanted to talk to you. I'm really, it was really interesting, how you say things, how you explain. I was like, it's so amazing. What do you do? And he was like, oh yeah, I am an affiliate professor here and there. But I really like what you did. And he has this attitude, the way he speaks, oh yeah, I like what you did, man. I really like what you did. Tell you what, why don't you do this? Why don't you come? I need to run a workshop. Come and do a workshop for me. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? And then he invites me to run a workshop at SAP. And I didn't know what to teach. And at the time, I was reading a book called The CEO Next Door.
He gave you a free...
He said, teach what you want.
Tabula rasa, whatever you want. Yeah.
Wisely. Teach what you want, what you think you're strong at, as long as it's in the entrepreneurial digital transformation side of things, right? Because that's what was his focus. I was like, okay, let me think. And funnily enough, I was reading this book, The CEO Next Door. Great book. Suggest everyone. Honestly, it's very interesting. And I thought, I like the structure of this book. I like the insights. You know what? I'm going to teach these guys something that I wish someone would have taught me. How to think like a CEO. Because the truth is, and that was a statement in the book, we are all CEOs. You are with your family. You are the CEO of your family. Okay, probably it's your wife. We all know that.
Of course.
Of course it's the wife, but let's pretend you are. Okay? But be the CEO, you are the CEO of your life. Right? I know I sound like Tony Robbins now, but that's true. So you are the CEO of your life. If you need to think like that to be successful, to be driven, but also if you want to be a CEO, as they say, wear for the job you want, think for the job you want. So I'm like, these kids, they want to probably be successful. And then also like kids, they were not like much younger than me really at the time. So like, what would I have wanted? I'm going to teach this. And that was another amazing moment because I got in and I'm telling you, it was like so natural. Like I've always done it. And it's not recorded, this class, unfortunately, but I remember like it was yesterday again. I just got in, I was wearing I always have my style when I teach, which is chinos, shoes, and shirts. That's my persona of a teacher, let's say. Came in, I was wearing dark loafers, blue chinos, white shirt. I start talking. Maybe the first minute I was a bit like cold because it was an auditorium type of classroom. So like everyone was looking at me, I was like, oh my God, what if I say something stupid? But then I thought, no, but wait, I'm sitting on this side of the fence. Means that by definition, I know more than them. And that's what, by the way, if anyone has ever a problem or public speaking and stuff like that, just think that you are on the stage. If you're on the stage because somehow you know something more than them. Or you've done bad, because otherwise they would be.
Yeah, the topic you're talking about, yeah.
Exactly. It'll be one thing out of 100, but for sure there is a reason why you're there. So you need to be confident about it. And I did this lecture, and at the end, they all like started applauding. And I was like, oh my God, it went well. I was so happy. And then they actually came to me and they're like, oh my God, I want to exchange contacts. Can we be in touch? Can we keep in touch? I was like, hey, wow, I like that. Okay, great. And so, nice. Terence come back to me, is like, oh, we got the feedback from your workshop. You know what? You got like, I don't know, maximum is 5. I got like 4.8 or something like that. I'm like, oh, nice. You know what? I like to do this. It's like, yeah, you're good. Why don't we try a little bit more? And so he started involving me in some of his proper courses. And then I am how I am. And I'm like, okay, I like this. I see an opportunity. I see I'm good at. And I always wanted the prestige because it's probably very much of an Italian mindset. The professor is always seen as, you made it in life. Like you get to know shit. So it's like, respect.
And that's validation that
exactly.
You made it.
And I'm very honest. So it started like, you know what? I think it's something that I always wanted on my CV. Let's say, so being a thought leader, being the guy that knows things, right? Not just like the entrepreneur or whatever. And so I kept going. And I have to say, see this importance of mentorship and importance of, I wanted to link it to something that I said before, but like, see all the people that you meet. When I say I want to give this, but also you receive it. I wouldn't have been here eventually if it wasn't for Terence. I'm very grateful about it. And, a lot of times I tell him to this day, and he's like, no, but you did everything. I'm like, no, I did most of it.
Yeah, but he opened the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After a point, I did most of it. But the truth is, he did a lot of that as well, especially when I was failing, when I was fucking up constantly. Because, see, that's another area. I failed a lot. I mean, I fail a lot to this day, as you know very well.
No, but I just wanted to ask you kind of, I think it fits well at this point. You obviously knew your stuff about, fintech, technology, fixed income. Terence, saw something in you to kind of invite you. But here at, Algebra, Bernays University, we like to say that student learns only what student does him or herself. What I'm getting at is, you knew your stuff, but one thing is to kind of show that you're knowledgeable about fixed income or swaps or whatever, but the other thing is to learn somebody else to do it. So how did you kind of bridge that, or was it natural to you? And how you approach it to this day?
That's an amazing point, which I agree. Because the fact that you know things doesn't mean you're good at teaching.
Exactly.
Believe me or not, you know, in Italy, when you go to high school, there is this thing that they send you back to the next year if you don't pass a subject, right? You are resent. I worked in finance and I love numbers. I got resent in maths and physics 3 years out of 3. And I used to do scientific school. Yeah, so I went to, you have classic and scientific. Classic is the literature, and scientific is maths. And so I did that, and I'm pretty good at these things. And I worked in finance, and yet my teacher at the time, my professor, Silvia, she constantly, but why? Because I wasn't I just couldn't understand it. I just couldn't. And we didn't have a bad relationship. Like, as in, I like the person, but in my opinion, she was not good at teaching. At least teaching us. She was an amazing researcher. In fact, afterwards, she moved back into research. And that's probably what she does to this day if she's still working or whatever, right? But this is the thing, like, some people are built for certain things, others are not. And sometimes you can be an amazing teacher actually without knowing things, which sounds crazy, but it's not a scam. It's about the delivery. It's about the engagement. It's like, I'm telling you, when I go on stage, I say, the first time, it was natural. And that's already what buys you 100 points. Because at the end of the day, it's building that connection with the people you're talking to, but also understand that they need to understand you. And so you need to articulate things in a certain way and deliver them in a certain way and engage with them in a certain way. And I've been myself, again, learning experience through others. It's important to remember when I was a student, and I would look at certain people that would come up and talk and like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God, kill me now. I don't want to be like that. And then I remember there was this one professor that was like extremely engaging. He would move through the classroom, he would go around, he would talk to people, ask questions. Oh my God, beautiful. And then Terence is the same. Vittorio is actually the same as well, So you see there is a trend on the people that I also learned from, a style. And then I made my own style. And my own style is something else. Everyone has his own style, right? But that's the thing. Sometimes, look, tell you what. Sometimes, and this goes back to not bullshitting people. I happened sometimes to be asked to teach things that I know absolutely nothing about. And I still did it successfully. And sometimes I get asked questions that I know nothing about. I don't bullshit, but I still answer successfully. Why? Because if you create that engagement, when someone asks you something that you don't know, you apply a certain technique by which, you make it a conversation. And making a conversation, if your logic works very well, and the person is open to a conversation, that's your skill. It's the articulation skills, the engagement skills, and you might not the exact right answer, but hey, we can get there together.
But you'll get to that answer.
And you stay. It's like, it happens to me. Sometimes I'm like, hey, talk to me about, I don't know, Andrea, can you tell me about the meaning of algebra? I'm like, I actually don't know, but we have two options. Either I'll get back to you later, or we can get there together. Should we try? Let's try. People like a challenge. Okay, let's get there together. We start brainstorming about it. And eventually, having my experience of how to engage with a student, somehow we get there. And that's probably the USP, right?
Yeah. And then maybe how you kind of try to transfer that, I would say, mindset or that determination that although I don't know what you're asking me or the topic we are, talking about, how do you try to kind of install this, if I may say, into the students' minds throughout the learning process?
Man, is confidence. My confidence is everything in life. That comes from the movies, but they're true.
Yeah, but how you kind of try to get students to be more confident?
Oh, it's.
I know there's not just one answer, but.
But you know what? It's not just students. I face this with my employees as well. I was actually, I build development programs, of course, obviously for my own employees as well, right? And this year we just kicked off a custom program for each person that works in my business, and 2-3 of them they have that challenge. Like, the idea are amazing sometimes, but the way they communicate them, or the confidence by which they stick to them or stand up for them, is non-existent, and they're never gonna get what they want, success they want. So my job is, how do we do that? And a lot of times comes a lot of patient coaching, comes a lot of positive talk, comes a lot of, but I don't know, but you need to be a badass about it. And comes with me literally saying them every single time. It's a brainwashing thing. It's a brainwashing. The same with, whilst this CEO, the left one, was too full of themselves, too much even, honestly, for what the value they had inside. These other CEO that is fucking amazing, they just sometimes go like, I don't know, maybe. No, that's the job. That's my job, is coaching. It's be like, no, you are amazing. Because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go for it. Then you transfer energy.
Yeah, instill that belief in someone. Okay, kind of now want to switch to Croatia and your experience here with students, with people, with culture. You teaching entrepreneurship module here at our business school. How do you kind of, what are your impressions? Where do you see like potential, for people and, as a market for us to grow? Kind of, you are from Italy, which is a neighboring country, but you have experiences from UK, US, Middle East. Kind of, how do you assess it, honestly?
Honestly, I think there is a lot of talent in this country. Like, I mean it. I mean, it's the country of Nikola Tesla, man. Like, Nikola Tesla is one of the most successful inventors in the world, right? And there is so much, then we can get into the conspirational stuff, which I love, by the way. Can do a whole thing about
that's for the next podcast.
My God, I love it. Please crack me on that. But Nikola Tesla, changed the world that we don't know it because, some people don't want us to know. Please don't kill me. Don't send the killers tonight. But the thing is, it's a country full of talent, but, and this is what I was telling you this morning to the students, is like, man, Croatia is like 3.5 million people.
3.8.
Yeah. Dubai is 4 million, it's a town. So it's like, it's not a country, it's not a space that allows for growth as we intend it in the VC space. Okay?
In terms of business scaling, yeah.
Exactly, there's no it. So the challenge I've noticed and the trend I've noticed in the last generations is that there is some people just don't care. They just don't want to go clock in, clock out, and goodbye. That's it. Okay. Then there is the other 50%. It's like, no, they have smarts. They lack the confidence because they come from a cultural mindset of, but you can't be an entrepreneur. You need a job. And no, be an entrepreneur. Why not? And then those that are ideas, they actually have very good ideas and they see the gaps and they understand technology. Like everyone that I speak, that I talk to here, like they understand technology quite well. Like the level of technical knowledge in Croatia is very good. So you get there, you need more confidence, but also you need to open to broaden the mindset beyond Croatia. Because like a small country, man, you don't scale things here. Okay, look at the Balkans, maybe. Look at other places. Start from Croatia, but jump here and there. Okay, so this is the let's say the trend that I can tell you is important to keep in mind as we go through this. But I do believe that there is much more that can be extracted from here than there is right now, and that's a very important piece of information. I think also for what we do at Algebra. I mean, we have a lot of great grand plans, right, to grow this business, to take it places, and that's one of the things that I've been trying to do a lot when I teach these students specifically, and I do the same with all the others as well. But I keep telling them, guys, like, come to me. I'm not gonna force them into entrepreneurship because honestly,
you can't force anybody.
So I have so many things to do. Like I don't have to beg people to become entrepreneurs, really. But I keep telling them, hey, come to me when we're done. If you want to do this, come to me. I'll give you the resources. And there's been like multiple projects from the first generation, the first one that we did together, right? There were very interesting ideas. And I told the guys, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Like, let's do it. Yeah. Never heard from them ever again. I'm like, what can we do? So I think that probably what we will have to do at Algebra really is to push them more to do this, to actually jump the ball. Get interpret, take a chance, do it. How we do it is for us to do, but that's our mission, right?
Okay, yeah.
Be impactful.
Yeah, that's meaningful, and that gives us something to build upon.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Andrea. It was really interesting talking to you. Hopefully, we'll do another when you get back to Croatia, and we'll keep building on what we started here.
Absolutely, upwards and onwards. Thank you very much, Arsen.